Would I be the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend because his mom said I wasn't allowed to speak unless spoken to a year ago? My boyfriend, 32 male, and I, 27 female, had been friends for 5+ years and close friends for 3+. A little over 2 years ago, we began hooking up, but both agreed we didn't want a relationship at the time. It didn't take long, though, for both of us to develop feelings, and we agreed it was best we went our separate ways. However, February 2003, he invited me out to lunch and confessed to me that had been a mistake. And when he pictured his future, it always involved me. Okay. By the end of this conversation, we both admitted to having strong feelings for each other and wanting to give dating a shot. So from that point, things progressed fairly quickly as we already knew each other very deeply. Even when we were just friends, we would often read each other's minds. We soon began to talk plans of when we would get engaged, married, and have kids in the coming years. These feelings were also communicated very on to his parents. Remember that for later. Just gonna pop that in there. Also, before I get into what his family has said and done, I want to preface with something. When I tell you this man is the most loving, caring, kind man I have ever met, I really, really mean it. I've been in bad relationships in the past and honestly had just given up on dating. If I was not with him, I do not think I would be planning a future with another person. He's met all my friends and family and they have welcomed him with open arms. My friends adore how well he treats me and he truly has been one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Any issues we have talked through calmly together and worked past. Okay, sounds like you guys are pretty good. It's just his mom that's the issue. About 6 months into our relationship, I began to express more frequently that I wanted to meet his mom and dad. For context, they are still married, although it is very strained. And at the beginning of our relationship, he had moved in with them, less than 10 minutes down the road from my parents' house, and about 15 minutes down the road from my home. We had stopped by his parents' home several times, where I was asked to wait in the car. And once we had to meet them at a gas station late one night for important medical reasons. And again, I was asked to wait in the car. Weird. He always explained it as he needed our meetings to be under the right circumstances. Was he afraid to introduce you to his parents because, like, he knows his mom's really difficult? Or, like, was he embarrassed of you? Like, I don't... Soon after that, I met his uncle and his uncle's family. It went so well, we made the 2.5-hour road trip drive to hang out with his uncle again, once or twice in the following months. I remember my heart being so full seeing how kind and welcoming his uncle's family was. However, I had still not met his parents. When I finally met his mom, it was fine, but she did come across as very my way or the highway, and got upset with a waiter that was calling out orders in the restaurant. As someone who grew up in a semi-cultist church, I was really familiar with the holier-than-thou pastor's wife with a dash of Karen persona. If you know, you know. Oh, I know. A few weeks later, I met his dad at a soccer game, but he left after about 10 minutes, no speaking to me much. I saw his mom once or twice after that, and she didn't make much of an effort to speak to me or get to know me. And her behavior toward me in these small interactions became increasingly rude, such as walking away while I was in the middle of inviting her over for dinner. Rude. As my boyfriend had just moved in and had already expressed to his dad he wanted to have his parents over so we could cook for them. At the time, I thought maybe she didn't hear me. Oh, she heard you, bestie. Oh, it's not over there. Eventually, at his uncle's Christmas party, I began to really notice his mom doing passive-aggressive behavior toward me and how intentional it seemed. For example, she randomly began talking in front of me about how terrible public schools are and how she would never let her kids be educated by inept public school teachers from the South. Both my boyfriend and his brother went to an extremely expensive international private school K-12, while knowing that not only am I a product of Southern public schools, but I'm also a Southern public school teacher myself. Oh yeah, that was on purpose. That was on purpose. She said other passive-aggressive things like this throughout the night and would ignore me or respond in only 1 or 2 words when I tried to speak with her. Yeah, she fucking hates you, babe. Like, she hates you. It is funny, isn't it? Oh God, they just hate us, you know? They hate us. When I told her about the poinsettia I bought for her, she visibly rolled her eyes and seemed annoyed. She would also turn her back to me or come to stand in front of me with her back to me while I was in group conversation. Oh dear. I mentioned that night to my boyfriend when we were alone how uncomfortable her behavior made me feel. He tried to explain of it a lot as it's just the business of the night and said we would all be able to get to know each other a lot in Boston. You see, we planned for my birthday, which is on New Year's Eve, to go visit his brother in Boston. Last minute found out that his parents had an extra room in the house they had been loaned by a friend, and they were going on almost the exact same days as us. My boyfriend had asked if we could stay with him, and his father said yes. So stupidly, I gaslit myself that everything had simply been a coincidence and I was being too sensitive and was optimistic as I packed my suitcase. I mean, that's a reasonable thing to assume if you're being invited to come and stay with someone over the holidays, you know? I would assume that being invited into somebody's home to spend the holidays with them was a good sign. So you're not totally delusional on that. Once we landed in Boston, I came down with a cold, and my boyfriend with medical issues became very ill. I was terrified he was going to end up in the ER. I was constantly running to the corner store to get medicine he asked for. Even walked him 2 miles to get him Italian wedding soup from Whole Foods because I was trying to keep his sodium levels down. Hydration was a big concern to him out of the ER. Meanwhile, his mom went out of her way not to speak to me, made passive-aggressive comments to other people that seemed directed at me, be overly nice to everyone else, and would walk in front of me and put her back to me anytime we were standing in a group, especially on my birthday when we were all at an escape room arcade. If I spoke to her, she would walk away in the middle of me talking or wave me off the way you shoo a dog. I'm sorry I'm laughing. This is just comical, dude. How do people get off on treating others this way? It's very clear that she doesn't like you for some reason, thinks that, her son is too good for you or whatever. But at the end of the day, you don't need to treat people like if you feel that way. And you're also not really giving her much of a chance to prove herself. When we returned home, I spoke to my boyfriend about her behavior, and he said he'd noticed it too and was not sure why she was acting that way. The only explanation he could come up with was we were very different personality-wise. He said he was going to speak to her about treating me with respect. However, when he tried to have this convo, she proceeded to talk poorly about me for 2.5 hours, and my boyfriend claims he just froze and he didn't know what to do. He tried his best to defend me, but admitted he dissociated for a lot of the conversation. I don't like that he's not sticking up for you, honestly. Clearly he grew up with this, and maybe that's why he was hesitant about introducing you to her. But what are you supposed to do? Let your mother run your life into adulthood? The reason why she's like this is because nobody stands up to her. She claimed I was controlling because I gave him NyQuil when he asked for it and she doesn't like NyQuil. That I spoke for him because I told her I was worried about his fever and cough. And then claimed I had tried to physically block her access to him while he was sick. This straight up never happened. So she's basically inventing reasons to dislike you. Either she thinks someone else is better for him or she wants him for herself.